Alex had been walking for hours through the dense alien forest. The air was thick, humid, and smelled faintly of minerals. Strange plants grew in every direction, some with glowing leaves, others with stems that shivered as if alive. He adjusted his backpack and wiped the sweat from his brow. He was alone, as always, on these exploration missions. Mapping unknown planets was dangerous, but Alex loved the thrill. Every step could be the discovery of something new, or a deadly mistake. As he climbed over a fallen log, a faint, distressed sound caught his attention. At first, he thought it was a small animal, but the sound was too high-pitched, too soft, and unmistakably like crying. Alex froze and listened. The sound came again, a soft, human-like cry, but not quite human. Curiosity and concern pulled him toward the noise. He pushed aside a thick bush and froze. There, half hidden behind a mound of rocks and leaves, was a girl, or something like a girl. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dappled sunlight, pale with hints of blue and green unlike any human Alex had ever seen. Her eyes were enormous and reflective, a deep amber that seemed to glow faintly. She was small, fragile-looking, and her limbs were bent awkwardly as if she had been injured. "Hey," Alex said softly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. The alien girl flinched and tried to crawl further back. Her breathing was shallow, and he could see cuts and bruises on her arms and legs. Blood streaked through the pale, glowing skin in dark patterns that made Alex's stomach tighten. He slowly knelt down, keeping his voice calm. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." She froze, her large eyes studying him with fear and suspicion. Alex noticed her small chest rising and falling quickly. She was trying to hold back tears. He knew he couldn't rush her. Any sudden move could make her run, or worse, attack in desperation. "I can help you," he continued. "You're hurt. I can help." For a long moment, she didn't respond. Then almost imperceptibly, she nodded. Alex moved slowly, reaching for a clean cloth from his backpack. "I just want to clean your wounds," he said. The girl flinched again, but she didn't run. That was a small victory. Carefully, Alex cleaned the blood and dirt from her arms and legs. She winced occasionally, but otherwise stayed still. He noticed faint marks on her body. Some looked like scratches from thorns, others like bites. Whatever had hurt her in this forest had been serious. "I'm Alex," he said softly. "What's your name?" The girl didn't speak, only looked at him with wide eyes. After a moment, she whispered something so soft he barely heard it. Lyra, Alex nodded. "Lyra, okay. That's a beautiful name." He smiled gently. She didn't respond, but the tension in her shoulders eased slightly. It became clear she couldn't walk well on her own. Her legs trembled when she tried to stand. Alex made a quick decision. "I'll carry you. It will be easier." "No," she exclaimed, her voice higher and more urgent than he expected. I can..." Her words faltered. "I know you want to try, but you'll get hurt worse," Alex said softly. "I promise I'll help you." After a moment of hesitation, she allowed him to lift her. She was light, almost weightless, but her grip on him was strong. Her small hands clung to his shoulders, and for the first time, Alex noticed the faint glow from her markings pulsing gently, like a heartbeat. He carried her to a small clearing near a stream. The water looked clean, even refreshing, so he helped her sit by the edge. Lyra touched the water with one hand and shivered at its coolness. Alex smiled. "It's okay. You're safe here." Over the next hour, he prepared a small shelter using branches and leaves. He knew it wouldn't withstand a heavy storm, but it was better than nothing. He collected some food from his pack, protein bars and a few water pouches. Lyra watched quietly as he worked. Finally, he offered her some water. "Here," he said. "Drink, you need it." Lyra hesitated. Her hand hovered over the water, trembling. Alex waited patiently. Then she dipped her fingers in, sipped cautiously, and finally took a few small gulps. She let out a soft sigh of relief. Alex felt a pang of happiness. "Good," he said softly. "You're going to be okay." Hours passed as Alex cleaned her wounds further and applied makeshift bandages. Lyra remained still, though she occasionally winced. Her trust in him was growing, though slowly. "You're very strong," Alex said, admiring the alien girl. "Even hurt, you're strong." Lyra looked down at her hands. "Not strong enough," she whispered. "You are," Alex said firmly. "You survived alone in this forest. That's more than most could do." She didn't respond, but he could see her shoulders relax slightly. As night fell, the forest around them transformed. Strange sounds echoed through the trees. cries of unseen animals, rustling leaves, and distant growls. Alex kept a small fire burning, careful not to let it flare too brightly. Lyra watched the flames, her eyes reflecting the light. "I know it's scary," Alex said, "but you're not alone anymore." For the first time, Lyra moved closer to him. She didn't speak, but the gesture was enough. Alex understood. She needed safety, warmth, and perhaps companionship. He stayed awake most of the night, keeping watch while she rested, listening to the soft sounds of the alien forest. The next morning, Alex decided they needed to move. The forest was dangerous, and staying in one place was risky. "We need to find somewhere safer," he said. Lyra nodded, and though her steps were unsteady, she followed him. They traveled carefully, Alex supporting her when she stumbled. Along the way, he tried to communicate. He pointed to different plants and objects, showing her how to identify edible fruits or safe paths. She observed quietly, occasionally mimicking his gestures. Alex began to understand her better. She wasn't just an alien. She was intelligent, curious, and perceptive. Her species seemed highly attuned to the environment, moving with grace and awareness that humans rarely had. He admired her more with each step. By mid-afternoon, they reached a small ridge overlooking a valley. The view was breathtaking. Strange, tall trees swayed in the wind, and rivers glittered in the sunlight. Lyra's eyes widened, and she whispered something that sounded like awe. Alex smiled. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" She nodded, and for a moment it felt like the world had quieted. Then the sound of movement interrupted the peace. Rustling in the underbrush, quick footsteps, and a low growl. Lyra tensed, her glow intensifying. Alex understood immediately. They were not alone. Something or someone was approaching. "Stay behind me," he said. Lyra did as he instructed, and he carefully scanned the area. A small creature, no bigger than a dog but covered in spikes and fangs, leaped toward them. Alex reacted quickly, using a branch to knock it away while Lyra froze, her large eyes wide with fear. Once the creature retreated, Alex looked at her. "See, you're safe. I've got you." Lyra's glow slowly dimmed, and she nodded, her trust in him solidifying. The danger had reminded them both of the harshness of the forest and the need to stick together. As they made camp that evening, Alex thought about her situation. Lyra was alone, vulnerable, and far from her people. He knew he couldn't just leave her. She needed him, and he felt a deep protective pull toward her. He watched her sleep, marveling at her delicate features and the faint glow of her skin. Something inside him stirred, a desire to care for her, protect her, and perhaps even become more than a companion. He knew it sounded strange, even impossible, but he couldn't deny the feeling. Lyra stirred in her sleep, reaching out instinctively. Alex gently covered her with a blanket. He whispered softly, "You're safe with me. I won't let anything happen to you." The night passed quietly, and for the first time Alex felt a strange sense of purpose. This alien girl, lost and wounded in the wild, had entered his life, and he was determined, no matter the cost, to protect her, guide her, and perhaps one day become someone worthy of her trust and maybe even more. As dawn approached, the forest awoke around them. Strange bird-like creatures called in the distance, and a gentle mist rose from the valley below. Alex looked at Lyra, asleep but peaceful, and silently promised himself he would not let the dangers of this world take her from him. And he didn't yet know how deeply their lives would intertwine, or the challenges they would face together. But one thing was certain: Alex's life and Lyra's had changed forever. The morning mist hung thick in the forest as Alex helped Lyra to her feet. Her legs still trembled slightly, but she was determined to walk. The soft light filtered through the tall alien trees, casting long shadows on the uneven ground. Alex scanned the horizon, keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. The forest was alive with strange sounds, chirps, growls, and the rustle of unseen creatures. But he had grown used to it. Lyra moved carefully, her large eyes taking in every detail. She had always been a survivor, but now she relied on Alex in ways she had never imagined. He offered support when she stumbled, holding her hand or steadying her with his arm. In return, she pointed out subtle hazards: a hidden pit, a poisonous plant, a camouflaged predator. Together, they moved like a team, complementing each other's strengths. By midday, they reached a shallow river that cut through the valley. The water shimmered under the sunlight, clear enough to see the rocks beneath. Lyra knelt beside it, touching the surface with her fingers. She gasped softly at the cold sensation. Alex handed her a water pouch. "Drink," he urged. "You need your strength." She obeyed, her trust in him growing with each small gesture. They rested by the riverbank for a while. Alex took the opportunity to observe Lyra more closely. Her species was fascinating. Her skin glowed faintly, especially around her chest and hands, and her limbs moved with a natural grace. She seemed fragile, but he knew from experience that appearances could be deceiving. Her sharp reflexes and awareness had already saved them more than once. "Lyra," he said softly, "I need to know more about you, about your people. Why are you alone?" She hesitated, her eyes flicking toward the dense forest. "They attacked us," she whispered. "Many gone." Her voice trembled, but there was strength in her words. She had survived something unimaginable. Alex felt a deep pang of sympathy. "I'm sorry," he said. "I can't imagine what that must have been like. But I promise I'll protect you now. You won't be alone anymore." Lyra nodded slightly, her glowing markings pulsing gently. It was her way of showing acceptance, and Alex recognized it. He felt a surge of determination. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about trust, companionship, and something deeper he couldn't yet name. As they continued their journey, the forest grew denser. Strange plants clawed at their clothing, and thick vines slowed their progress. Alex used his survival skills to find safe paths and avoid dangerous terrain. Lyra followed closely, sometimes leading him to shortcuts or safer passages she had noticed. They relied on each other, forming a bond that words could hardly describe. Suddenly, a loud growl echoed through the trees. Lyra froze, her body tense, and her glow brightened as a warning signal. Alex's heart raced. He scanned the surroundings and saw movement in the shadows, a large, predatory creature stalking them. Its skin was mottled green and brown, blending perfectly with the forest floor. Its eyes glowed faintly red, and sharp teeth glistened as it approached. "Stay behind me," Alex whispered, positioning himself between Lyra and the creature. He picked up a sturdy branch, ready to defend her. Lyra's instincts kicked in. She crouched low, ready to sprint or use her agility if needed. The creature lunged. Alex swung the branch, striking its head. It recoiled, growling, but did not retreat. Lyra acted quickly, moving to distract it. She darted forward, drawing the predator's attention, then leaped aside just in time. Alex seized the moment, striking again and using a small trap he had crafted from vines and rocks to ensnare the creature's leg. The predator struggled, but eventually gave up and disappeared into the underbrush. Alex exhaled, his heart pounding. He turned to Lyra, who was breathing heavily but unharmed. "Are you okay?" he asked. Lyra nodded, her glow dimming as she relaxed. "Yes, thanks to you," she said softly. "That's what I'm here for," Alex replied, a small smile on his face. "We're a team now." As the sun began to set, they found a small cave hidden behind a waterfall. It was dry, sheltered, and safe from predators. Alex helped Lyra inside and made a small bed with leaves and soft moss. She sat quietly, watching him, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "You've been very brave," Alex said. "Even hurt, you faced dangers I couldn't imagine." Lyra's gaze softened. "I learned from you," she admitted. "You strong, clever." Alex felt a warmth spread through him. Her words were simple, but they carried meaning. It wasn't just admiration. There was trust, respect, and perhaps something more. He realized he cared for her in ways he hadn't expected. Protecting her was no longer just a duty. It was personal. The night was calm, but Alex stayed alert. He kept watch while Lyra slept, listening to the soft rush of the waterfall and the distant calls of the forest creatures. He marveled at her delicate form, the faint glow of her skin, and the trust she had placed in him. He knew their journey was far from over, but he was determined to keep her safe no matter the cost. The next morning, Alex suggested they move toward higher ground. From there, they could find a safer place and perhaps signal for help. Lyra agreed, and though her steps were slow, she showed remarkable determination. Along the way, Alex taught her small survival skills: how to spot edible plants, how to move quietly, how to avoid dangers she couldn't sense. Lyra absorbed every lesson quickly, demonstrating intelligence and adaptability. He realized that while she needed him for protection, he also needed her guidance to navigate the alien environment. As they approached a ridge, they saw movement in the distance, another group of hostile creatures. likely part of the faction that had attacked her people. Lyra stiffened, her glow intensifying. Alex's heart sank. This was the ultimate test. "Stay close," he said, scanning the area for a safe path. Lyra nodded, and they moved cautiously, using the terrain for cover. The creatures were close, but Alex noticed a small clearing nearby. With a careful plan, they managed to reach it undetected. In the clearing, Alex paused, catching his breath. He looked at Lyra, who was watching him intently. "We made it this far," he said. "We'll survive this too. Together." Lyra stepped closer, her hand brushing against his. It was a small gesture, but Alex felt the weight of it. Trust, hope, and something deeper passed between them. He realized that their bond was no longer just about survival. It was emotional, profound, and life-changing. As night fell, they built a small fire and shared a quiet meal. Alex talked about Earth, his home, and human customs. Lyra listened, fascinated, and shared stories of her people. Simple details at first, then memories of her family, her village, and the attack that had left her alone. Alex realized how much she had endured, and his admiration grew. She was strong, intelligent, and resilient. He felt an urge to protect her not just from the world, but from loneliness, fear, and despair. "I want to stay with you," Alex said softly, almost hesitating. "Not just to protect you, I care about you, Lyra." She looked at him, her eyes wide and glowing faintly. "You want be my mate?" she asked, her voice trembling. Alex nodded. "I want to be with you. I want to share my life with you if you'll let me." Lyra was silent, thinking. Her people rarely bonded with humans, yet she felt a connection she couldn't ignore. She had trusted him with her life, and now he was asking for something deeper. After a long pause, she placed her small hand on his. "I trust you," she whispered. The forest around them seemed to breathe, quiet and peaceful. Alex smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "Then we face everything together," he said. In the following days, they continued their journey, growing closer with each challenge. They learned to rely on each other completely. Alex's ingenuity and strength complemented Lyra's instincts and agility. Together, they survived ambushes, avoided predators, and found safe paths through the alien wilderness. By the time they reached a high plateau overlooking the valley, Alex and Lyra were inseparable. They had faced life and death together, and their bond was unbreakable. Alex looked at her, marveling at her resilience and beauty. She looked back, her glowing markings pulsing softly in the fading sunlight. "I will protect you," Alex said, more confidently now, "no matter what comes next." Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting trust and something deeper, affection, hope, and acceptance. "I will stay with you," she replied. As night fell and stars filled the alien sky, Alex realized that their journey was far from over. But one thing was certain. Together they could face any danger, survive any challenge, and perhaps, in time, build a life together unlike any other in the galaxy. They settled for the night side by side, the fire crackling softly. Alex knew that the bond they shared was rare, perhaps impossible by the standards of both their worlds, but it was real, and it was theirs. The adventure had just begun, and they would face it as one. And as Lyra drifted to sleep, resting her head on Alex's shoulder, he whispered softly, "We're together now." Nothing can change that. For the first time in both their lives, they felt safe, accepted, and connected, not just as survivors, but as partners bound by trust, courage, and something far stronger than fear.